Good morning, everyone. Um, we are going to get started now. I know some people might still be joining, but we have a lot to cover today, so I just kind of want to jump into it. I also want to thank everyone for being here today. I know that of all the days, today is probably one of the busiest for you, not only being a Friday, but also the end of the month. So I do appreciate all of you taking the time out of the day, out of your day, to learn a little bit about Inspect Point and some tips and tricks that I have for you. If I have not spoken with you yet, welcome. My name is Jennifer Doyle. I am a co-founder and the Vice President of Customer Success and Support here at Inspect Point. If, like I said, this is the first time, welcome, and I hope that I get to speak with you soon. So let's just sort of jump right into it for today. So let me get this presentation going there. There we go. So some housekeeping. All of you are muted. But like I mentioned in the email that I sent out, if you have any questions, maybe there's something you're wondering about, how does something happen with Inside Inspect Point, maybe something I'm showing and talking about leads to another question. Even though you are muted, I still want to hear any questions that you have. So over in the GoToWebinar control panel that may be up on your screen or over someplace on your screen, you'll see a questions option. Go ahead and drop any questions that you have in there. Like I said, we've got a lot to cover. I'm going to try to get through as many questions as I can. The presentation runs about 15-20 minutes, and after that, it'll be open to any questions. Anytime they pop up, that pop in your head, just go ahead, pop them in that questions box, and we will get those answered. Now, what will we cover today? Like I said, it is a lot. It is action-packed. So some of the things we're going to cover are those tips and tricks to speed up your processes with the inspections tab. The inspections tab is one of my favorite tabs inside the entire product because you can do so much in there, and I want to show you some of the quick things that will help speed things up for you. Some best practices for maintaining your reports. How do they get to your customers? What's the best ways to have them seen to not only back-end users, but your technicians? Contact roles and how that new feature that came out a couple releases ago can help speed up things like dispatching out those reports to your customers and sending out proposals and invoices inside of Inspect Point. And then also deficiencies and proposals. Now, in full disclosure, deficiencies and proposals will be super, super high level. I could do a whole hour training on tying deficiencies and proposals together, but I do want to show you just how lovely and how perfect of a pair these two features are. And also, if you are not using our proposal feature, how you can still utilize the deficiencies to be able to match them with your quotes as well. So real quick though, how do you know about these updates that are coming out, right? So we do have these little tips and tricks. We've got new features coming out. How do you know when new things go live? If you are not signed up for the release emails, make sure to send an email to support@inspectpoint.com. So if you were forwarded this email by someone in your office, if you want to receive these, let us know. The release emails come out, always tell about any major iPad updates that are coming out and any major backend updates. So if you're not getting those, let us know. We can get you added to that distribution list. We do have a new release pop-up. So inside the back end of Inspect Point, you'll see the chat and the contact us button for support. If you're ever wondering, hey, what's going on, and you click on that, you might see a pop-up with some documentation. So if you're unsure how something works, hopefully something pops up and there's some documentation to walk you through it. And at the same time, if you're unsure of something, right? Does something look a little bit different? I'm a little unsure. Just ask. We're always available to answer any questions, help you walk through any new features. Maybe something moved, maybe something's changed. Just ask. We're more than happy to help. So with all of that said, let's just jump right into the product. Like I said, I've got a lot to show you, and I want to get in there. So I'm going to jump into my demo account here, and I'm going to start on the inspections tab. Like I've mentioned, my favorite tab in all of the product. So now, as I've mentioned, there's a lot you can do here. Some of the stuff I want to focus on is mass dispatching, mass changing technicians, mass generating reports, and exporting out inspections. So in all of the trainings, whoever you're speaking with, we always recommend that you come to this inspections tab to always filter to see what inspections are upcoming, right? This list can get really long. So of course, we always ask for you to search for your pending, search for your unscheduled inspections. Go ahead and apply that filter. So I'm going to go ahead, and what I want to try to do is mass dispatch out my inspections for the month of March. So I am going to come in, and here I go. Oops, of course, not scheduled right there. I do not have any, so I'm actually going to switch to scheduled here. I'm going to mass actually move these back to pending. So I'm actually going to mass move these. I want to mass move these to a scheduled status. Maybe I don't need to know exactly who, or I don't have to assign a specific date and time to an inspection. So I just need to send all my inspections out to the iPad for that month. My technician is going to go through them, but I just need to get them out to the iPad so they know what's due that month. There's two things and a few things you have to look for before you can do a mass dispatch or a mass scheduling of your inspections. First, you always need to make sure you have an assigned technician. If you do not have an assigned technician, the inspection is going to live in basically an inspect point limbo. It's not going to know what iPad to go to, so you always have to make sure before you mass dispatch, do you have a technician? Also, make sure that you have a frequency set and you have what's on the inspection or supposed to be on the inspection set. If you have all of these set, then what you're going to do is click Select All. Now, once again, I recommend you have your filters set, your time frame set, so you're not going to mass schedule every pending inspection in your instance. So I'm going to click Select All. By doing that, I'm applying these check marks here next to each one of those inspections. You got a little teaser of this before. You're going to click Update Status. And because I want to get those all out to the iPad, I'm going to select the status of scheduled and click Update. Now I no longer see any inspections in my pending status because they are now in my scheduled status. Now, along those same lines, let's just say I had not yet dispatched out these inspections. I still had them in pending in our hypothetical situation. They're still in pending. And I come to schedule out for March, and I forget Brittany has taken the entire month of March off for vacation. Lucky her, right? But I need to get these inspections to a different technician. So to mass reassign inspections to another technician, I will once again have my parameters set, right? If it's scheduled, it's pending, whatever it might be, the date range, see all of my inspections, once again, making note, do I have a frequency and do I have what's on the inspection set? I click Select All, and instead of updating status, I'm going to update technician. This process here, just like the statuses, just basically allows you to, instead of clicking onto each ID, clicking into the inspection, clicking edit inspection, making the adjustments, clicking save, clicking update, then this just boom has it happen. So let's just say Brittany's out, so we're going to give these all to Jennifer, and we're going to click update. Now you'll notice the default tech or the technician assigned to these inspections has all changed to Jennifer. Now, along the same note, I might want to come in here and change my frequency or my filters all together. So let's just say I want to come in and I want to mass generate inspection reports. Maybe I don't need to review every single inspection report that comes in. I might come in here on a weekly basis, mass generate my reports. That way, someone can come in, send them off to the customers, and for all intents and purposes, the reports are generated, but I do not have to look at each one of them. I want to come in, look at my waiting review. Maybe I just want to look at sort of a larger range because I might have a lot in here. And I'm going to apply my date filter. Here are all my waiting review inspections that I need to generate reports for. I'm going to, once again, click Select All. This will place the checkbox next to all of them. If I want to uncheck one of them so that one doesn't get generated, I'm going to uncheck it, scroll back up to the top, and I am going to click Generate Reports. By clicking Generate Reports, it will ask me, are you sure you want to generate all these reports? And you bet you I do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click OK. And they're still going to be in waiting review. All I did was generate the reports. So what I need to do now, though, so I don't continue to generate reports when I come in next time, select all, and you bet Go ahead and update that status from waiting review to complete. That way, when I come back in next week or next 2 weeks or whatever my schedule is for me to do this, I'm not generating reports that I've already have reports for. One more thing that I can do on this screen before I move over to the reports side is exporting out the inspections. So if you work best by using Excel, manipulating some of the data, maybe you need to know what's going on, you prefer to update Excel and then come back into Inspect Point, that is also something that you can do. So maybe you want to come in, refresh, and not have any of your ranges here, any filters for your dates, and I just want to be able to export out everything that I need to schedule for. I can select all for that date range, and I can export out a CSV. This is going to drop my inspections into an Excel format. I can make my phone calls, set my dates, and then come back into Inspect Point to schedule out the inspections for a specific date and time. So, that's a lot. There's a lot to do in this tab. It's a very powerful tab in that you can really, truly know everything that is going on inside your instance, what's happening, what shouldn't be happening, and what I guess should be happening. It's all happening and all able to be seen in that inspections tab. Now, a few minutes ago, I went ahead and mass generated about 10 reports. What I can do is come over into this inspection reports, and they're all generated. Now, just one little rule of thumb. When you mass generate your reports, you will receive an email when the report is ready to be viewed. So just like if you're generating the reports one by one by one, you will still get that confirmation email that it's ready to be seen. So mass generating does not prevent you from getting that email. So I just always like to let everybody know that as a little heads up. Now, with your reports, we send the 5 most recently generated reports to the iPad for the technicians to view. What I recommend, and of course, this is how your company wants to handle this, but a general recommendation on our end is to only keep your master copies inside of Inspect Point. So if you're making edits, if you're doing anything with any of your reports, keeping and deleting your edited ones, only keeping your final ones is what we tend to recommend. That, like I said, just we send 5 most recently generated to the iPad, not the 5 most recent final reports. So having those edited reports will not only clog up your reports tab, but it'll clog up the iPad. So the technicians may not always know which one was the final report. So deleting edited reports, keeping your final in here is one of our recommendations. At the same time, if you're using Customer Portal, or even if you're not using Customer Portal, we recommend always using the display name. Now, we know that this column here shows what's part of the inspection. However, this may not always give the most detail. It's not going to tell you, while it tells you what's on here, it's not going to tell you the frequency of it. So what we tend to recommend is that you always give a display name to your final report. It is an extra step, but in the end, it will save you in the back end, it'll save the technicians, and it'll save your customer a lot of time. So we recommend that once you have that final report, go ahead, click Edit Details, and give that report a name. Add the frequency. Tell everybody what it is. I'm going to say it's the annual sprinkler, and if I could spell, that would be great, sprinkler report, and I'm going to do January 2020. Now, if this account needed this in Customer Portal, I would check this box here. And if my customer had accepted their Customer Portal request, a pop-up box would appear below that, giving me the option to then go ahead and add this and send them a notification letting them know it's there. I am not adding this to the portal. I am simply adding the name. So I'm going to check no, and I'm going to have this display name. This right here saves you time. This is what the technician will see on the iPad. So they'll clearly see that this is the annual report. Maybe the other one on there is a quarterly or a semi-annual. This gives you more information as well in the back end when you're looking at the building to see, hey, this is the actual inspection report I need to see. You don't have to remember now that in February you have your annual. It clearly states I'm looking at my annual report. Now, along the same lines too, you have the ability to send reports from Inspect Point. Now, with reports, reports are sent through your default email client on your computer, not through Inspect Point. So when you click Send to Contacts, and you'll only see this if the contact or contacts associated with your building have an email associated with them. So this building here does not have a contact with an email, but this building, Troy Innovation Garage, does have contacts with emails. If I click that button, up will pop my default email client. It will appear in whatever you use, whether it is Apple Mail, Gmail, Outlook. It will pop up, it will have an email, it will have the link, and you can send it. If you're ever worried, hey, has it sent? Check your sent folder because, like I said, the emails go through your email client, not through Inspect Point for reports. You'll go ahead and you'll click that, and up, like I said, will pop your email. That'll go out to your customer. Now, one thing that's a little bit on the newer side is our report contact roles. And this will help you when it comes to sending to your contacts. So if I head actually to my contacts, I now have the ability to add contact roles to a contact, but not just to the contact as a whole, but to the contact per building. So if I go to the ID number here for myself, I have the ability and I see both of the buildings that I'm associated with. Now, the reason I'm showing you this from the reports tab is if I click onto DoorDen here, then I will see if I go to, and like I said, this is at the building level. So you'd have to set this not just at the contact, but at the building level, should that contact's role vary per building. But if I click onto my name here, I see that I'm the report contact. So the reason I bring this up in relation, like I said, to the reports is that when I click that button to send to contacts, since Brittany and I both live on this building, only I will pop up as the person to receive that email. If both of us were listed as the report contact, both of our emails would be on that email. If neither of us have roles set, both of us will pop up. So to help you save some time with adding or removing emails, make sure you set the report contact or you set a contact role. So how you would do that is at the building level, at the contact, you would come in and designate that person's roles in relation to the building. So now, next time I go to generate a report for this building and send this out to my customer, both Brittany and I will receive that. Now, also at my level here, I also am listed at Troy Innovation Garage at the contact level as the proposal contact. And now this is helpful because when I go to generate a proposal, when I create a proposal now, I'm going to go ahead, create that proposal. I go ahead and I select the Troy Innovation Garage. My information is going to pre-fill in. That is because I am set as the proposal contact. This helps speed it up too because now you don't have to have two screens open. You might have had 3 contacts on here, and if the person's not designated as a proposal contact, we're going to pick one of the 3, right? Throw them in the air, figure out which one works. But by having someone set as the proposal contact, it helps speed it up. I don't have to have 2 screens going now. Now, at the same time, if I haven't set my details as far as full name and phone number at the level at the user's level, I'm just going to go ahead and fill that in. And at this next screen here, this is the perfect pair part, right? Super high level is what I'm about to show you. Creating proposals helps with that contact role, but also right here, I now have the ability with my proposals to link a deficiency to a proposal. The reason why this is helpful, I am not going to link link a deficiency and have it appear on the proposal. But the proposal I'm about to create I am proposing work for a deficiency. I want to know when this proposal is accepted because I need to repair a deficiency. So instead of having, once again, 2 screens open, waiting for my proposal to be accepted, and then going into my deficiency and updating the status, I want to link it so I do not have to manually change the status once the proposal is accepted or as it's going through the proposal train. So to do that, if you are quoting on a deficiency and you are using our proposal feature, I want you to click plus, and then I want you to link. If you link an ad, it will show the actual text of the deficiency on the proposal. If you just want to link it because you're quoting on that deficiency, click link. The reason you want to do that is once you send this proposal out to your customer, this proposal will say out for quote. Your deficiency that was linked will also say out for quote. As your proposal is accepted, right? Because we're optimistic that proposal is going to be accepted. Once it's accepted, your deficiency then changes to quote accepted. The good thing about this is you don't, like I said, have to have two tabs open. Was it accepted? What was part of it? You have to think all these other things. You have so much going on already. All you have to do then is if you want to know where your deficiencies are in the process, using the linking option there. Oh, and see, I just got a little pop-up from that screen about our deficiency resolve. I come to this deficiencies. I'm going to pop up into my resolution statuses, and I want to know what's been accepted. I can filter on my relevant information. I know this has been accepted, so now I know I need to go and create that service ticket, that work order, and I want to get that ball rolling with that service portion of it. Now, once something is resolved, I can then come in, say this is quote accepted, and this will also help speed things up as well. You have the ability to mass change the resolution or mass resolve deficiencies as well. So these have all been accepted. Let's just say they've gone through the service portion, and now I need to mark them as resolved. I'm going to come in, and instead of resolving each one of them individually by checking that checkbox and adding a note, I am going to come in and I'm going to mass resolve all of them by checking that check mark and applying it, coming up to this update status. Because I'm resolving, I want to indicate that these need to be resolved. I want to go ahead and apply that status of fixed. And I want to go and resolved by Jennifer on webinar. And click update. Now, all those deficiencies are going to go away. They're no longer open deficiencies. If I go to they are resolved, I will see all of those that I resolved right here, resolved by Jennifer on the webinar. Now, let's just say, though, that you are not using our proposal feature. You still have the ability to mass change statuses. So if you are using an external software to quote, what you can do is still come in, say I've just quoted on all of these deficiencies here on inspection 377 for B's Beach Bum. I want to come in, there's no status, they're brand new, I've added them to a proposal. It's not inside inspect point, so I'm not linking, so I'm going to check those ones, update status, not check resolved because it's not resolved. I'm going to actually check that status of out for quote. So even though you're not using the inspect point proposal feature, totally okay, you still have the ability to keep statuses of your deficiencies, and it is recommended that you do so. That way you're not having all these deficiencies in the back end, you don't know where they are. But most importantly, the deficiency statuses are visible to the technicians in the field. So keeping those statuses up to date helps keep them informed as well. If they should identify the same deficiency again, they're able to see that status. They're able to see what's going on with the process. So that was a lot. It was very fast. Thank you so much for going through that with me. Like I said, especially that deficiencies in proposal area, that in itself can be an entire training. So I am now just going to kind of open it up to questions. I see that we already have some, so this is great. Let me just open this up and see if we can answer some of these questions. Perfect. Okay. So one of the questions that we do have is, are we able to change how questions are worded or remove any questions from the reports? So great question. I'm going to jump into the back end of Inspect Point again. So you do have the ability to change any questions the way that they're worded or remove them from reports. If you do not like the wording of our questions, it's 100% okay. The way that you would go about doing that is this finding the question inside of Inspect Point, and then what you would do is remove our question, and then you would simply create a new question by clicking New System Question, adding the text exactly like you would like it to appear. Of course, just giving it a section so it knows where to live. I tend to recommend adding it to the same section from which you removed the question, setting the question type, and then identifying where it wants to live. So is it a system question? Is it a general question? And then what's the minimum frequency it should be asked at? Biggest thing is anytime you make an adjustment to a question, adding, removing, anything like that, biggest thing is you have to have the technicians log out of their iPad and log back in so that any changes you've made in the back end sync the iPads with any inspections going forward. So you just want to make sure that you like I said, ask the text to log out, log back in. Right, we've got another one here. Yes, so one of the questions was, is there a way to filter deficiencies by status? So yep, so I think that might have come into while we were doing this, but you can filter your deficiencies by their status, and this is where you would do that. So on your deficiencies tab, you can do this by the various resolution statuses. Now we come pre-built, you may have additional statuses inside your instance. And another way to also do this too is if you only want to look for sprinkler deficiencies in a certain status, you can even kind of get a little bit more specific in there as well. All right, let's look. Yeah, so you can look for, oh goodness. Oh, looking by the, oh, okay, so I see what the question is. If you're looking for if it's a critical, non-critical, or an impairment. It looks like right now you cannot look based on, I guess, the flag that you or the technician would designate. If it's a critical, if it's an impairment, that's something that would be helpful. So let me see if I can get that added. That's a pretty good pretty good suggestion there. So do I want to not only know what's a quote has been accepted, but also what might be a critical one that I want to get out there to do? Good suggestion. I will get that added to the feature backlog. Do we have any other questions out there? If there's any other questions, go ahead and just drop them into that question area. I'm unfortunately unable to sort of unmute anybody who might have their hand raised. I apologize. I see a few hands raised. So if there's any other questions, oh, okay, perfect. I see them coming in now. All right. What's not clear? Wait a minute. Clearing reports out. Can you explain what you mean? I don't delete the reports. Okay. So what I mean with so the question was basically, what do I mean by clearing out the reports? So like I said, it is definitely something that it depends company to company. Some people like to keep a record of every inspection, so report that was been generated. So if an inspection comes back to the office and let's just say some edits were made to the questions, maybe some edits were made to the notes that were left, every time an edit's made, a new report needs to be generated. So if you've had to make a lot of edits, you might have like 4 different reports, different versions of it. You might want to delete the 3 that are not the final one. So the one you're going to send to your customer, you keep, and all the ones you've made edits to, you can basically come in and let's just say this was a duplicate. I would come in and delete. Now, I don't recommend that you delete all of your reports. That's not what I'm saying. I said I'm recommending that if you make any edits, you remove those edited reports and only keep your final in there. Helps kind of keep everything nice and clean and tidy. And you always know what report is the one that went to the customer. And it helps your technicians in the field too, so they only see the reports that they have to see, which is the final report. I hope that helped. So if you wanted any more clarification on that, just type in there too, and I can expand on that a little bit further. Now, I know we're at the 11:30 mark, but I do have 2 more questions. So if you do have the time, I'm more than happy to stay on and answer a few more questions. If you do have to jump off, this is going to be recorded. So these remaining questions, I'm going to answer them, and then you can listen to the recording if you want to know. Like I said, if you do have to jump off. But I am going to go ahead and just answer these last couple questions. Any other questions, go ahead and drop them in as well. All right, perfect. I can definitely, if anybody needs or would like to see anything about the proposals feature itself, just reach out to support@inspectpoint.com. If you're not utilizing that feature or you have any questions about utilizing that feature and the deficiencies, reach out to InspectPoint. Reach out to the support channel, and we can definitely get some training set up for you. We also have a training video that I can send over. We can kind of do that as an initial review, and then we can hop on it and really kind of work out anything that you might have any questions about. All right. Okay, so one question we have is, how do you add a code reference for a question? So we automatically we have code references in there on the sprinkler side currently. So if a question is marked deficient, it will appear, that code reference would appear on the report when the report is generated, just with the deficiencies. That's not something that's turned on by default. So if you wanted to have that happen, you would just need to let us know, and we can go ahead and set that up for you. When you're setting up a question, what we tend to recommend when you're adding the new question is you can add like the code year and the code itself. Some people will add it here, but then others will just add it in the actual text of the question when they're adding the question in. So there's a couple of ways that you can do that. For adding that code, like I said, you can go ahead and add the code, the code year here, or you can add it in the text of the question as well. So that way you can guarantee that it's always visible. All right. All right, perfect. Oh, thank you. I'm getting some nice feedback. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm happy that everyone is liking this this webinar. We'll do more of these for sure. You know what a master report is. Okay, so good question. So the question was, how do you know what a master report is? So I tend to just call master reports like the final report. It is kind of hard if you're not the one that's generating all the reports. So I guess a good rule of thumb is, and can get a little confusing, especially if there's multiple people in the back end. But that's why I always say, if using the display name. It's a good way for everybody in the back end to know that's the final or the master copy of that report. That's the one that should go to the customer. That's the one that should always be kept in the back end. Now, I'm not saying that if you have not been using display name, you should go in and delete every inspection report that does not have a display name. Please do not do that. But display name is usually the best way for everybody to know what is the master or what is the final copy. So like I said, if there's multiple backend users, say I'm in here, Melissa's test, I've made a couple of edits. Say, Brittany jumps in here. She knows, oh, this Melissa test, that's the one that's going to the customer. That's also a good indication too, if a customer calls and they're like, hey, I'm calling from Melissa Test Building. I haven't gotten my annual inspection report for January yet. If they call and someone jumps into the back end, they know exactly what one to send, because that is the quote master or final copy that they should receive. Okay. Yep. So good questions. You're going to get a recording of this. So if you do have any additional questions, or you want to look back at any of this, you will get a recording of this. Had a question about the service element. It is still in the works. So just keep your eyes peeled. I'm hoping to be able to do a webinar to give you a demo of the service portion next month, actually. And that'll give you a lot more details, and give you a little preview of what's to come. All right. And then property management to a report. Okay, so we've got a question too about how would you add a property management company to a report? Good question. My recommendation would be to add them as a contact. the building. Make sure that that property management is then associated with all of the buildings that they would need to receive reports for. And then you would go into each building and at that contact level, designate them as a report contact. That way you would be able to click send a contact. And if you sent the report through Inspect Point by clicking that button, you would guarantee that that property management company would be designated as receiving the report because their email will appear on that email. So if you have to send it to anybody, always make sure that they're added as a contact associated with the building and then set as a report contact as a way to make sure that they get that from you. Those are really good questions, everyone. Are there any other questions? It looks like I was able to get through most of them. Actually, that's all of them. Those were good questions. Thank you, everybody. If you think of any questions after the fact, please do not hesitate to contact us at support@inspectpoint.com. It's the best way to get a hold of us. If you have any product questions, if you're experiencing any issues or anything like that, email support@inspectpoint.com. If you do need to get a hold of someone specific, this also is a great way to just get a hold of one of us on the support or success team. It can always be forwarded along to us, and someone can either give you a call if that's what you need. We can shoot you over a link to be able to get some time on the calendar, and we can go from there. One more question just came in. Do I need to go into every report and change the waiting review to complete? So good question. I tend to recommend, so sorry, I read that kind of quickly. The question is, do you have to change the status from waiting review to complete? It is a general recommendation, just sort of a best practice, that we do recommend that you change the status from waiting review to complete. That way, if you're going in, that list of waiting review is getting smaller, not growing for you. That way you also do know, just by quickly glancing at those statuses, what have I generated reports for? What haven't I generated reports for? What's complete, essentially, right? What has been reviewed? What has a report generated for it? And what inspections have been sent out to the customers? So it is our general recommendation that you do change the report from waiting review to complete, and you can mass change. So if you have not been doing that, that is okay. What I recommend that you do is actually use that mass status change that we went over. So find all those waiting reviews that you have generated the reports for, select all of the ones that you have the reports ready for that should be complete, and then change those from updating status from waiting review to complete. That way you will not have to go into each individual report to change the status of those. And then I do recommend going forward that you do change the status once everything is done to complete, just for your own mental sanity, so you know what's going on. It'll help you for sure. Perfect. All right, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for attending today. Thank you so much also for the kind words a lot of you have been leaving in this question box. It has been very nice to hear your kind feedback, and I always enjoy helping. It's what I like to do. So any and all questions that you have, feel free to send them over. Once again, support@inspectpoint.com. We'd be happy to turn on any features that you might want. If you don't have proposals, shoot us over an email, and then we can talk about what that upgrade would look like. Any questions that you might have that come up about changing questions, anything, let us know. That's what we're here for. And then just a real quick update. You might notice if you've been emailing support, we actually do have a new team member. So there's, in addition to Brittany and myself answering your questions now, we have a very lovely woman. Her name is Melissa. So you might start seeing some questions being answered by her. So if you do have any questions, please reach out to us at support@inspectpoint.com. You will be receiving a recording of this. And so with that, you are free to go about your day. I know you've got a lot going on. So once again, thank you so much for joining today.